There's a moment in every life, quiet, almost invisible, where something shifts. It doesn't announce itself with fireworks. There's no standing ovation. No one claps when you finally admit it to yourself. But deep in the silence of your own soul, something whispers, this isn't who I'm meant to be. And in that moment, everything changes. Because there is a version of you that is no longer willing to shrink, no longer willing to fit into the mold that others carved for you, no longer willing to wake up and pretend like life is just something that happens to you. Because it isn't. You weren't born just to pay bills and make it through the day. You weren't made to blend in, to walk quietly through life, never disturbing anything. You were born with fire in your lungs, with divine fingerprints all over your spirit. And for too long, you've been walking around like that doesn't mean something. The world told you to play it safe, to stay in line, to be reasonable, to dream only what's practical, to love only when it's guaranteed, to work not for meaning but for survival. And maybe you believed it. But somewhere along the way, your soul started to ache. Not because you were broken, but because you were burying your brilliance under layers of fear, doubt, and the weight of other people's expectations. And now, right now, that ache is turning into awakening because you're finally remembering who you are. Everything begins in the mind. Before you build a life, you build a mindset. Before you change the world, you change the lens you see it through. It's not just about thinking positively, it's about thinking powerfully. When Thomas Edison was told he was too stupid to learn anything, he didn't rewrite his goals, he rewrote the rules. When Walt Disney was fired for lacking imagination, he didn't question his talent, he questioned the limits placed on it. They didn't just think differently, they believed differently. They trained their minds to reject limitation, to filter failure through curiosity, not defeat. Your mind is a weapon, but it will destroy you if you don't learn to wield it. Most people spend their lives reinforcing their limitations, saying things like, I'm not the kind of person who, or that's just the way I am, as if they're marble statues instead of living, breathing beings designed to evolve. Here's the truth. You are not your circumstances. You are not your past. You are not your job title, your trauma, or your doubts. You are the author, and the pen is in your hand. Before you ever take action, before you even see the path, there must be belief. Belief is the soil in which every dream either grows or dies. Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Not because belief guarantees success, but because disbelief guarantees failure. The human mind will never commit to a path it doesn't think is possible. You will never give your full heart to something you secretly believe is out of reach. So ask yourself, what have you been unconsciously labeling as impossible? Is it healing, forgiveness, starting over, building a life that actually feels like yours? Here's the uncomfortable truth. You don't get the life you deserve. You get the life you're willing to believe you can build. Not with blind optimism, but with aligned belief. Belief backed by vision, intention, and discipline. Because belief isn't some fluffy feeling. It's an engine. And when it runs strong, it drives you through doubt, rejection, failure, loneliness, confusion, and still keeps going. But when belief is weak, even the smallest roadblock becomes a wall. So train your belief like a muscle. Feed it, strengthen it, stretch it, break it if you must, but always rebuild it stronger. Because if you don't believe in your own future, no one else will, or can't build a life you haven't envisioned. Clarity is the compass. Without it, effort is wasted. Potential is scattered. Days pass by and nothing changes, not because you're lazy, but because you're lost. The enemy of greatness isn't failure, it's distraction. And we live in the most distracted generation in history. We scroll, we skim, we binge, we drift, drowning in information, starving for wisdom. You can be busy every hour of the day and still make zero progress if you don't know where you're headed. Clarity isn't something that finds you, it's something you create. It's built in silence, in solitude, in honest reflection, in asking questions that most people are too afraid to face. What do I actually want? What kind of person do I want to become? What pain am I avoiding? What kind of legacy would make my life worth it? Clarity doesn't come when life gets easier. It comes when you get honest. And when clarity arrives, everything sharpens. Decisions become simpler, priorities rise, noise fades. The path isn't always easy, but it's unmistakably yours. If clarity is the compass, vision is the destination. It's more than a dream, it's the blueprint of your becoming. Vision doesn't need to make sense to others. It's not up for approval. You were not born to repeat what's already been done. You were born to expand what's possible. When Martin Luther King Jr. said, "I have a dream," he didn't offer a business plan. He offered a vision and the world followed. When Steve Jobs envisioned a phone with no buttons, people laughed until they lined up around the block. Every revolution begins with someone seeing what isn't there yet. Vision is what lets you see through the chaos. It's what turns resistance into fuel. It's the reason you wake up when motivation runs dry. It's the internal fire that no failure can extinguish. But vision demands something from you. It demands that you stop playing small, that you stop pretending your dreams are optional, that you stop shrinking your light to keep others comfortable. Vision is not a fantasy, it's a responsibility. And the moment you take ownership of it, life stops happening to you and starts moving through you. Purpose is not a luxury. It's not a bonus you get after surviving your struggles. Purpose is the reason you're still breathing. You don't find your purpose by waiting for a sign. You find it by walking through pain and noticing what breaks your heart and then choosing to build something with that pain. Purpose isn't always loud. It doesn't always come with applause. Sometimes it's just the quiet knowing that what you're doing, what you're becoming matters. Think of Viktor Frankl, the Holocaust survivor and author of Man's Search for Meaning. Surrounded by horror, starvation, death, and despair, he noticed something extraordinary. The people who survived weren't always the strongest. They were the ones who had a reason, a sense of meaning, a deeper why. And when you know your why, you can endure almost anyhow. Your purpose doesn't need to change the whole world. It just needs to change you every day, one decision at a time. Maybe your purpose is to lead with love. Maybe it's to create, to teach, to serve, to heal, to build. But whatever it is, it won't come from the outside. It's not hiding in a job title, a bank balance, or someone else's validation. Your purpose is already inside you. It's what makes you feel alive. Not comfortable, alive. And the longer you ignore it, the louder the ache becomes. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for clarity. Don't wait for the timing to be perfect. The path doesn't appear before you start, it appears because you did. Motivation is a spark, but discipline is the fire that never dies. You can't build greatness on feelings. You build it on standards, on doing what needs to be done long after the mood has left. Discipline is the bridge between who you are and who you're becoming. Think of Muhammad Ali. He said, "I hated every minute of training, but I said, don't quit. Suffer now and live the rest of your life as a champion." He didn't wait to feel like a champion. He trained like one. Most people want results without routine, change without challenge, growth without grind. But the truth is brutal. You will never rise higher than the habits you commit to when no one's watching. Discipline is what keeps you going when the applause stops, when the progress is slow, when the goal feels 1,000 miles away. It's waking up early when your bed whispers, stay. It's showing up when your fear says, hide. It's staying consistent when your doubts scream, quit. Every time you choose discipline, you're casting a vote for the person you're becoming. And over time, that vote becomes your character. Dreams without action are just fantasies. No matter how powerful your mindset, how clear your vision, how deep your purpose, nothing changes until you move. It doesn't matter how many journals you fill, how many plans you make, how many times you meditate. The world doesn't reward intention. It rewards action. And not perfect action, imperfect action. You think the Wright brothers waited until every calculation was perfect before flying? No. They built, tested, failed, and kept building. Progress is messy, it's chaotic, it's uncomfortable, but it's real. And action is how the impossible becomes inevitable. Here's what most people get wrong. They wait for certainty before they begin, but action isn't the result of clarity. Action is the creator of clarity. You don't need to see the whole staircase. You just need to take the first step, and then the next, and then the next. Action is what turns fear into focus, doubt into data, failure into feedback. Every legendary story from Tesla to Oprah, Mandela to Musk is built on the backs of 1,000 small, unseen, unglamorous actions. Don't overthink the path. Just take the next step. Let your life be proof that momentum matters more than perfection. But as you build, don't forget to feel. Gratitude is what keeps your heart alive while your hands are building. In a world obsessed with more, gratitude teaches you to pause, to breathe, to notice that you already have so much. Gratitude doesn't mean settling, it means remembering. Remembering that your struggle is shaping you, that every moment, even the painful ones, is part of the masterpiece. We talk a lot about achievement, but let's not forget about alignment. Gratitude realigns your soul, it recalibrates your energy, it grounds your ambition in something deeper than status or speed. It doesn't ignore the work ahead, it simply honors the path behind. Because if you can't feel grateful for where you are, you'll never feel fulfilled no matter how far you go. Wake up every morning not asking, what do I need, but what do I already have? And you'll discover that gratitude is not weakness, it's power. Because when you learn to appreciate your present, you move toward your future with peace, not pressure. The path you start on will not be the path you finish on. You will pivot, you will stumble, you will face detours, dead ends, and disasters you never planned for. But adaptability is your superpower. The oak tree may be strong, but it's the bamboo that survives the storm, not because it's harder, but because it knows how to bend without breaking. You are not a robot. You are not a machine. You are not here to follow a rigid blueprint and panic the moment something goes off course. You are here to evolve. Adaptability isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It means being committed to the destination but flexible with the route. Because the truth is, life doesn't care about your perfect 5-year plan. It cares about your ability to respond. COVID didn't ask if you were ready. Layoffs, heartbreaks, betrayals, they don't knock politely before entering. And the people who thrive aren't always the ones who planned the best. They're the ones who adjusted the fastest. The ones who didn't let their ego keep them stuck in a failing strategy. The ones who weren't afraid to say, this is no longer working, so I'll shift. Not quit, shift. They pivoted, they learned, they reinvented. You ain't allowed to change your mind, to grow past the version of you that once thought small, to leave behind dreams that no longer reflect who you're becoming. Adaptability isn't abandoning your identity, it's expanding it. But flexibility alone isn't enough. Because even when you bend, life will still try to break you. That's when resilience steps in. Resilience isn't about pretending things don't hurt. It's not about putting on a brave face while you're bleeding inside. It's about healing forward. It's the invisible grit that carries you through nights when you feel forgotten, when you hear 1,000 no's and still show up for the chance at one yes. It's Harriet Tubman making 19 trips back into danger to free others after escaping herself. It's Thomas Edison failing 0 times before the light bulb finally stayed on. It's every underdog who refused to be defined by their lowest moment. Resilience is your refusal to stay down. It's your ability to say, this moment will not be the end of me, it will be the beginning of something deeper. You are not your failure. You are not your pain. You are not the one who was left, who was rejected, who was overlooked. You are the one who rose. And sometimes the greatest victory is just getting back up again and again. When no one's clapping, when no one sees you, when no one believes you, but you keep showing up because you believe you. And every time you rise, you learn. That's the secret. Success is never final. Failure is never fatal. The only thing that matters is what you learn. Because your future is not defined by what happens to you. It's defined by what you do with what happens. You could let pain harden you or deepen you. You could let mistakes shame you or sharpen you. You could let setbacks stop you or shape you. Every experience is a teacher, but learning only happens when ego steps aside. You have to be humble enough to ask, what is this trying to teach me? Where can I grow from this? How can I become wiser, not just older? The greatest leaders from Mandela to Maya Angelou were constant students. They listened, they observed, they grew. They didn't just accumulate knowledge, they applied wisdom. And in your journey, knowledge is the map, but wisdom is the compass. Because a life of meaning isn't about knowing everything, it's about learning what truly matters. And at the center of it all is love. Not the fairy tale kind, not the Instagram kind, the kind that changes everything. Love is what you give, even when no one's watching. It's what you offer the world when it has nothing left to give you. Love is not weakness, it is the deepest strength. It's Martin Luther King Jr. choosing love in the face of hate. It's Mother Teresa serving the dying in the slums of Calcutta. It's the friend who stays, the stranger who cares, the parent who forgives, and most of all, it's the love you learn to give yourself. You've been your own enemy long enough, silencing your voice, doubting your worth, apologizing for your existence. Enough. You don't have to earn love through perfection. You don't have to hustle for your own healing. You were born worthy. And the more you learn to love yourself, the more you become love for others. Because self-love is not selfish, it's foundational. When you honor your own heart, you learn how to honor the world. So who are you really? Not the mask, not the resume, not the roles you've been playing. You are a soul, a force, a story still being written. You are the voice you've been waiting for. You are the solution to problems no one else is brave enough to solve. You are the answer to prayers you haven't even heard yet. You are the culmination of every scar that didn't stop you, every fear you faced, every quiet moment where you almost gave up but didn't. And the world doesn't need a copy of someone else. It needs you, unfiltered, unapologetic, undeniably real. Don't die with your light still locked inside. Don't water yourself down to be digestible. Don't wait for someday to start being the person you were always meant to become. Start now. Right now, because you were never meant to stay small. You were born to rise, to break chains, to light fires, to leave fingerprints of courage across the timeline of history. This is your time. This is your moment. So stand tall, speak loud, move forward. And when the world asks who you are, you tell them, I'm the storm that learned to dance. I'm the light that refused to go out. I'm the dream that woke up and started building. This life is yours. Now go claim it. If this voice lit something inside you, if you felt seen, heard, awakened, subscribe. Not just to this channel, but to the version of yourself that no longer fits inside fear. Let's rise together. Here comes a moment in every life when the noise gets too loud, the expectations, the comparisons, the race to be seen, to be liked, to be enough in a world that profits off your self-doubt. And somewhere in that chaos, you forget that you were born whole. You forget that your worth isn't earned, it's inherited. You forget that who you are already is more powerful than who the world says you should be. But one day, maybe today, you stop running, not because you're weak, but because you finally understand you were never meant to chase, you were meant to be grounded, be present, be powerful, be enough. And that day, the day you decide you're enough, is the day everything changes. Because that's when your life stops being a reaction and becomes a creation. People will tell you success is about grinding harder. Waking up at 5 a.m., out hustling the next person, building the perfect life on a screen that disappears in 24 hours. But what if success isn't found in the noise, but in the silence? The silence that teaches you to listen, to pay attention to the space between your thoughts, to the voice that's been whispering, not screaming. You don't have to become anyone else. You just have to remember who you already are. Because before the world told you to be more, you were already magic. You just forgot the greats, the visionaries, the people who changed the world. They didn't play it safe. They didn't wait for validation. They didn't build their life around likes, filters, or fear. They listened to something deeper and acted on it. Think of Lincoln, born into poverty, defeated in elections again and again, but carried by a belief that justice and unity were worth every scar. Think of Thomas Edison failing 0 times, but calling each one a step forward. Think of Frida Kahlo turning pain into art. Her broken body couldn't cage her unstoppable soul. These people didn't become legends because they fit in. They became legends because they listened to something within. And so must you, because the truth is mindset is everything. Not because it's a catchy phrase for a vision board, but because your mind is the lens through which everything else passes. A negative mindset will turn every opportunity into a threat. A scarcity mindset will blind you to abundance even when it's knocking on your front door. But a powerful mindset, it can turn failure into fuel, pain into purpose, loss into legacy. Mindset is not about pretending life is perfect. It's about deciding that you will be powerful even when it's not. You weren't put here to coast. You weren't placed on this earth just to wake up, scroll endlessly, go to work you hate, come home to numb yourself, and repeat until your soul falls asleep. No. You were designed for something more, something bigger than the algorithm, something louder than likes, something deeper than deadlines. You were built for vision, and vision doesn't come from the world outside you, it comes from the world within you. But here's the thing, vision without clarity is chaos. It's motion without meaning, energy without aim. And that's why so many people burn out, not because they're lazy, but because they're unclear. Because no one ever taught them how to see, not just with their eyes, but with their heart. And you can't build what you haven't first seen in your mind. You can't live a life of purpose when you're chasing someone else's blueprint. You need to ask yourself not what do I want to do, but who do I want to become? Because the what fades, but the who changes everything. Purpose isn't found in a job title. It's not wrapped up in applause or numbers or achievements. Purpose is the way you show up. It's the love you give freely when no one's watching. It's the impact you make in quiet moments. It's waking up and knowing my life matters not because of what I get, but because of what I give. And when you live like that, you stop waiting for life to hand you something. You start creating meaning in every step. You start pouring passion into everything you touch, not because it's easy, but because it's worth it. That's when you become unstoppable. Because now your life isn't being pulled by pressure, it's being driven by purpose. But none of this means anything without discipline. See, motivation is the spark, but discipline is the fire. Motivation gets you started, but discipline gets you across the finish line when it's cold, when it's dark, when no one's clapping for you. Discipline is the voice that says, we keep going, even when it's hard, even when it's quiet, even when it hurts. Discipline isn't punishment, it's self-respect in action. It's showing up not because you have to, but because you made a promise to your future self. And you keep your promises. Because once you become the kind of person who follows through, no matter what, there's nothing you can't create. But even discipline needs fuel. Because what good is a strong will if it's pointing in the wrong direction? And that's where action comes in. Because clarity without movement is just a dream. Discipline without direction is just exhaustion. But when you act boldly, imperfectly, unapologetically, you begin to rewrite your story in real time. See, most people are waiting for a sign, but champions, they become the sign. They stop waiting for conditions to be perfect because they realize perfect never comes. They understand that fear doesn't go away. You just stop giving it the steering wheel. Action doesn't mean you're fearless. It means you're faithful. Faithful to the vision. Faithful to the future version of you that's begging to be born. Faithful to the belief that where you are today is not where you'll always be. Because greatness is not about what you do when you feel confident. Greatness is what you build when you're terrified, trembling, and still moving forward anyway. And when you move forward long enough, something powerful starts to happen. Gratitude begins to grow. Not the surface level gratitude people post about, but the real kind, the quiet kind, the kind that wakes you up and says, even in my struggles, I'm growing. Even in my pain, I'm being shaped. Even in the waiting, I'm being prepared. Gratitude doesn't ignore the darkness, it finds light inside it. It doesn't fake a smile, it finds strength in the storm. Because what you appreciate, appreciates. And when you start honoring the small moments, the breath in your lungs, the people who stayed, the lessons that hurt but healed, you realize you're already rich. Rich in wisdom, rich in resilience, rich in a kind of wealth no bank could ever hold. That's when life starts bending in your favor, not because the world changed, but because you did. Because gratitude makes space for miracles. And it prepares your heart for the next chapter one that requires something even more powerful than strength. Adaptability. See, success isn't about control, it's about flexibility. It's about learning to pivot when the path changes without losing your purpose. It's about bending without breaking. The oak tree that stands too stiff in the storm, it snaps. But the bamboo that sways, it survives. And you must learn to sway, to stretch when life stretches you, to trust when plans fall apart, to know that rejection is sometimes protection and redirection is often grace in disguise. Adaptability isn't weakness, it's wisdom in motion. It's your reminder that life doesn't follow scripts, but it does honor surrender. And from that surrender comes something deeper, resilience. Not the kind that looks strong on the outside, but the quiet kind, the kind that gets up again and again, even when no one sees it, the kind forged in failure, the kind shaped in silence, the kind that doesn't shout, it endures. Think of Nelson Mandela, locked in a cell for 27 years, and yet his spirit was never imprisoned. Think of Helen Keller, deaf and blind, yet a voice for millions. They didn't just survive, they transcended, because resilience is the art of rising not once but always. And when you realize your pain didn't break you, it built you, you stop fearing the fall. Because you are the comeback. You are the storm that didn't pass. The fire that didn't burn out, the story that didn't end when it should have. But resilience is only one part of the awakening, because it's not just about how many times you rise. It's about what you learn each time you do. Learning isn't memorization. It's not degrees or diplomas. It's the transformation that happens when life teaches you something the hard way and you choose to listen instead of run. Learning is the courage to say, I was wrong, but now I see. I didn't know, but now I understand. I fell, but I grew. It's how the wounded become wise. It's how the lost become leaders. See, pain is a professor. Failure is feedback. And every scar is a sentence in the book of your becoming. When you embrace learning, real learning, you stop living on autopilot. You start seeing every moment as a message, every setback as a lesson, and every person, yes, even the ones who hurt you, as a teacher. And what does that make you? A student of life, a master in the making, a soul that refuses to settle for survival and chooses to evolve instead. But let me ask you something. In all your growth, all your rising, all your discipline and vision and action, have you remembered to love? Because without love, what's the point? You can build an empire, but if your heart is empty, you'll never feel full. You can win every race, but if you leave yourself behind in the process, you've already lost. Love is not weakness. It is not distraction. It is not something you save for after you succeed. Love is the fuel for everything. It's what gives your purpose power. Love for your craft, love for your people, love for the journey even when it's messy, love for your younger self who tried so hard, love for your future self who's waiting to meet you. And above all, love for the person you are right now, because the world doesn't need another copy. It needs your truth. It needs your laughter, your light, your weirdness, your fire. It needs your honesty, your empathy, your edge. You want to change the world? Start by loving yourself so loudly that others remember it's possible. And when you do that, truly, fiercely, without apology, something sacred happens. You come home to yourself, not the version you perform, not the mask you wear to please, but the real you. The one who's always been there, the one who's been whispering, not shouting, the one who never needed permission, just your attention. That is the final piece. The self, not ego, not image, but the divine, grounded, eternal self, the self that knows you are not broken, you are not behind, you are not too late, too loud, too lost, or too much. You are exactly who you need to be to become who you're meant to be. And when you live from that space, from that clarity, from that courage, everything shifts. So now breathe. Let this moment find you, not the distracted version of you, not the anxious version, not the perfectionist or the overachiever, just you, the one who's been buried under noise, under expectations, under timelines and trends. Because underneath it all, you've always been enough. You don't need to become someone else. You need to remember who you already are. You are not here to play small. You are not here to blend in. You are not here to follow a script someone else wrote for you. You are here to wake up, to rise, to live with such purpose, such honesty, such depth, that every step you take becomes a statement. I was not born to drift. I was not born to chase approval. I was born to build. I was born to lead. I was born to love. And the world will try to forget that. It will try to tame you, shrink you, numb you, distract you. But you are not here to be tamed. You are here to transform, to set fire to every limit you inherited, to speak life into your own name, to rise from the ashes of who you were told to be and become who you were always meant to be. Let this be the moment you decide, no more waiting, no more hiding, no more asking for permission to be powerful, to be real, to be whole, because your purpose is already inside you. It's been whispering through the pain, through the silence, through every breakdown and breakthrough. And now it's roaring. Now it's ready. So walk with it, speak with it, live like you mean it. You don't owe the world perfection. You owe it your presence, your truth, your courage. You owe it the version of you that chose healing over hiding, creation over comparison, faith over fear. So go now. Be bold in your softness. Be fierce in your vision. Be ruthless with your peace. And most of all, be unshakably you. Because that, more than any strategy, any hustle, any secret, is what changes everything. If this message spoke to your heart, if it reminded you of who you are, who you're becoming, or who you've always been, then don't let it stop here. Subscribe to this channel, not just for more inspiration, but to be part of something bigger, a movement, a family, a space to come back to when the world gets too loud. Like, share, and drop a comment to let us know what part of this message hit your soul. Because we're not just building a channel, we're building a home for the awakened. Welcome back. You've got this. And your next chapter, it's already waiting for you to say yes. There comes a moment not marked on any calendar, not foretold in any horoscope, when you look in the mirror and realize this isn't who you were meant to be. You were never designed to live on autopilot. You were born for more than scrolling endlessly, surviving silently, shrinking daily. There's a quiet fire inside you, not a spark, a flame, not a flicker, a furnace. And it's waiting for you to stop settling, waiting for you to rise. We are taught to measure success by likes, followers, paychecks, promotions. But what if true success is measured by how deeply you live, how boldly you dream, how bravely you love, how honestly you show up when no one's watching? Because here's the truth, the world has sold us a blueprint for a life that doesn't fit the size of our soul. And it's why so many people feel exhausted even after 8 hours of sleep, empty even in a room full of noise, lost even when the GPS says, you've arrived. You haven't arrived, you've just woken up in a world that forgot what it means to feel alive. But not you, not today. The mind is not a prison, it's a battlefield. And every day you rise, you're stepping into a war between who you've been and who you're becoming, between fear and faith, between distraction and direction, between comfort and calling. The enemy is not out there, it's in here. It's the voice that says, you can't before you even try. The whisper that says, what will they think before you speak your truth? The fear that says, stay small when your destiny is anything but. You don't need more motivation, you need a new mindset. Edison failed over 1,000 times before he gave the world light. Lincoln lost more elections than most people enter before he led a nation. Disney was told he lacked imagination. Imagine that the man who gave us magic doubted for dreaming too big. Your mindset isn't just your thoughts, it's the lens through which you see the world. Change the lens, and the world changes with it. Belief isn't inherited, it's chosen. Every belief you hold about yourself, about life, about love, about worth was planted by someone, a parent, a teacher, a failure, a heartbreak. But just because something was planted doesn't mean it has to grow. Uproot what no longer serves you. You are not your trauma, you are not your past, you are not your mistakes. You are the author of the next page. Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right, because belief is the soil in which every future takes root. Believe in scarcity, and you'll find lack in everything. Believe in growth, and you'll find lessons in everything. You want to change your life? Start by believing it's possible. You don't need more time, you need more clarity. Clarity is power. Without it, you drift. With it, you dominate. Imagine a ship with no map. It may sail for years, but it will never reach its destination. That's how most people live. Busy, but not becoming. Moving, but not aligned. Checking boxes, but not fulfilling purpose. Clarity doesn't come from scrolling or binging or waiting. It comes from stillness, from sitting with your thoughts, asking the hard questions. Who am I becoming? What do I truly value? What am I willing to sacrifice comfort for? Clarity doesn't shout, it whispers. You just have to get quiet enough to hear it. Vision is the art of seeing what doesn't yet exist and believing in it anyway. You were given imagination for a reason, not just to dream at night, but to architect your days. Every world changer started with vision. Jobs saw a computer in every home. MLK saw a world where color didn't divide. Mandela saw freedom in the midst of chains. Vision doesn't need approval, it needs commitment. It doesn't care if they laugh, it only asks if you lead. Stop asking people with no vision to validate yours. Your life can only grow as big as the vision you carry. If you can't see it, you can't seize it. So stretch your imagination, see the life you want, speak it into being, walk like it's already yours. Think like the future is your home address, because it is. Purpose is not something you find, it's something you remember. You were born with it. It's why you feel that ache in your chest when you're not living aligned. It's why some days feel like you're wasting air, because deep down your soul knows this isn't it. There's more. Purpose isn't about the job title, it's about the soul behind it. You could be a janitor with purpose and change more lives than a CEO without it. Shetty said, your passion becomes a purpose when it serves others. So ask yourself, who do I want to become, not just for me, but for those I'll touch? Purpose gives pain meaning. It turns wounds into wisdom, struggles into stories, scars into songs. Don't chase happiness, follow purpose. Happiness comes and goes. Purpose endures. Motivation is temporary. Discipline is divine. Discipline isn't punishment, it's devotion. It's the daily choice to keep showing up when comfort begs you to quit. It's brushing your teeth in the dark before dawn because, greatness doesn't sleep in. It's writing the page, hitting the gym, praying when it's quiet, not because it's easy, but because it's sacred. People ask, how do I stay motivated? You don't. You stay disciplined. Muhammad Ali said, I hated every minute of training, but I said, don't quit. Suffer now and live the rest of your life as a champion. That's discipline. Discipline is love made visible, love for your future, love for your purpose, love for the highest version of you. Action is the bridge between who you are and who you want to become. You can meditate for clarity, visualize your dream life, read every book on success, but until you act, it's all theory. Potential is just energy without direction. It's like lightning in a bottle, beautiful, but useless unless unleashed. Stop waiting for perfect. Perfect is a myth, a delay tactic dressed in fear. Start where you are with what you have, exactly as you are. When the Wright brothers built their first flying machine, they didn't wait for funding. They didn't wait for applause. They didn't wait until every calculation was flawless. They took action. And they failed over and over again, but through every fall, they flew closer to the sky. Action is messy, it's chaotic, it's uncomfortable, but it's also magnetic. The universe responds to those who move. It aligns with momentum. Life favors the bold. You want change? Don't think your way into a new life. Move your way into it. Speak, create, build, show up again and again and again. Gratitude isn't just a nice feeling, it's a superpower. It rewires your brain, it shifts your frequency, it opens your heart. In a world designed to sell you lack, gratitude reveals the abundance you already have. Gratitude doesn't mean you settle. It means you stop taking breath for granted. It means you realize that joy isn't found in the someday, it's hidden in the now. A warm bed, a body that breathes, a mind that dreams, a heart that beats. These are miracles dressed as ordinary. You cannot complain your way to peace. You cannot resent your way to purpose. You cannot hate your way into wholeness. But gratitude dissolves bitterness. It melts fear. It grounds you in truth. Carnegie once said, "The man who dies rich dies disgraced," because even the wealthiest souls understood fulfillment isn't in what you collect, but what you appreciate. Gratitude is not passive. It is an act of rebellion in a world obsessed with more. It says, I have enough. I am enough. And from this space of fullness, I create. Life doesn't go as planned. That's not failure, that's refinement. The tree that cannot bend with the wind breaks. The person who cannot adapt to change suffers. Rigidity is not strength, flexibility is. There is no straight path to greatness, no linear climb. It's detours, delays, disruptions, and every one of them is designed not to stop you, but to shape you. The strongest bamboo grows in storms. The most resilient steel is forged in fire. When your plan falls apart, ask, what is life trying to teach me? When doors close, ask, where is the redirection? When people leave, ask, what space is being made for something greater? To survive is instinct. To adapt is wisdom. The people who thrive in any era, in war, in recession, in reinvention, are not the most talented. They are the most teachable, the most flexible, the most surrendered. Adaptability is not giving up, it's leveling up. It's letting go of what no longer serves the mission. It's shedding the identity that got you here to step into the one that will take you further. You are stronger than your circumstances. Resilience is not about bouncing back, it's about bouncing forward. It's rising, not in spite of the fall, but because of it. It's saying, this did not break me, it built me. Every wound has wisdom. Every scar is a reminder you've survived what others thought would destroy you. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years behind bars and came out not bitter, but brilliant. Viktor Frankl watched everything he loved taken in a concentration camp and still found meaning in the suffering. Resilience isn't being emotionless. It's feeling every tear, every loss, every betrayal, and still choosing to continue, still choosing to shine, still choosing to love. Do not fear the storm. You are the storm. When you fall, fall forward. When you cry, cry with dignity. When you break, break open, not down. Let life crack the shell that's keeping your power contained. You were not made to quit. You were made to rise. Growth is the only guarantee that tomorrow will be better than today. Learning doesn't end when school ends. The most powerful people are not those with the most answers, but those who keep asking better questions. Read like your soul depends on it. Listen to people who think differently. Seek feedback, not praise. Stay humble, stay teachable. Einstein once said, the more I learn, the more I realize how much I don't know. That is wisdom, that is power. Every mistake is a masterclass. Every failure is a seminar. Every setback is sacred curriculum, but only if you choose to study it. Your brain is a muscle. Stretch it, stress it, use it. Don't just feed it entertainment, fuel it with insight, challenge, vision. In the age of information, ignorance is a choice. You were born to evolve. Every version of you was temporary. Celebrate it, then shed it. There is always a higher self waiting. And finally, all the ambition, the vision, the action, the power means nothing if you forget this. Love is the point. Not just romantic love, not just external validation, but self-love, soul love, a love that begins within and radiates outward. You cannot hate yourself into a better life. You cannot shame yourself into greatness. You rise by grace, not guilt. Every flaw you try to hide is part of the masterpiece. Every insecurity you cover is the seed of your superpower. You are not broken. You are becoming. Talk to yourself like someone you're responsible for healing. Stand up for your worth like someone who finally believes they are divine. Choose boundaries like someone who knows their energy is sacred. Because you are sacred, worthy, enough. And when you anchor in that kind of love, not ego, not pride, but pure, grounded, awakened love, the world changes. Not just your world, the world. You will speak differently, walk differently, lead differently, love differently. So here we are, not at the end, but the beginning of a new mindset, a new rhythm, a new way of living. You don't need permission. You don't need perfect conditions. You don't need applause. You need only to decide that from this moment forward, you will no longer sleepwalk through your life. You will awaken. You will rise. You will take the pain, the lessons, the dreams, the scars, and you will build something beautiful. Not for the likes, not for the status, but because this world needs more people who are fully alive, who are fully here, who live with fire in their eyes and purpose in their chest. So go, live boldly, speak truthfully, love wildly, and remember, you were never here just to exist. You were born to awaken the fire and live the life you were meant to live.